morning to everybody. Thank you very much for coming early to the Asian Development Bank, even though the conditions may not have been very ideal. But I realize that because so many of you are here, that you believe what we will be doing today is important for your community, for the Ortigas community. So let me share with you what exciting surprises we have for you today that we will do as a group. I will be giving an overview of new mobility mapping. When you received the invitation, weren't you interested to know what is this new mobility mapping about? Basically, it is to do away with the obsolete paradigm that building more roads will deal successfully with increased demand for mobility and replace it with an alternative or new mobility or sustainable mobility paradigm which aims to develop sustainable transport systems through what we call avoid, shift, improve measures. Now, what are these? And why would we want to change from that traditional or obsolete paradigm to the new mobility paradigm? For many reasons. A new or sustainable mobility paradigm will bring us reduced greenhouse gas emissions and reduce this significantly, reduce our energy consumption, reduce congestion, and ultimately create livable cities. So what is the ASI, or the Avoid, Shift, Improve approach? What do we mean by avoiding? Avoiding means reducing or avoiding the need for travel, reducing the kilometers that you drive using your private vehicles. Shifting, what does shifting mean? Basically, we would like people to choose more environmentally friendly modes of transport and do away with energy-consuming modes of transport. What do we mean by improving? Improving means giving preference to cleaner vehicle technologies, to having better quality of fuels. Now let's dig deeper into the ASI approach. What does it really mean and how do we do it? We can avoid trips by having integrated land use planning and transport demand management. Now imagine if you lived very close to a grocery store or a supermarket, or if you work very close to your home, then you would not need to travel so far, about 1.5 hours, time taken from your day just to travel from home to work. Shifting. What do we shift towards? From our gas-guzzling vehicles to non-motorized forms of transport, such as walking and cycling, and also promoting and using public transport. By doing this, we are actually promoting low carbon and low emissions transport. What is it that we need to improve under the new mobility paradigm? It's our vehicles, that they should be much cleaner, that they should have technologies that capture the emissions, the harmful pollutants, instead of spewing them out in the air and which we breathe, and having better fuel quality. Or even, fuels, alternative fuels that can power our vehicles without, or as much as possible, with very reduced emissions. Now let's really apply this to our daily lives. Let's say we want to go shopping. How does the ASI, or the Avoid, Shift, Improve play in our daily lives? So imagine if you needed to go shopping for groceries. So a household obviously requires a wide range of goods and in varying frequencies. What decisions would you make that are consistent with the Avoid, Shift, Improve paradigm? The first decision would be, wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to go so far to get your groceries, that you only had to walk 2 kilometers instead of 10 kilometers, or ride your car to a distance of 10 kilometers to be able to get what you need? Now the second decision would be, what type of transport mode are you going to use? Should you use your car, or should you use a bicycle, or should you walk to where you can buy your groceries? And a third decision would be, which is related to the improved measure, is to determine what type of vehicle, if you really need to drive, whether you should drive an SUV, which consumes a lot of energy, a lot of fossil fuels, or whether you should drive smaller cars, or whether you should shift from a gasoline run or a diesel run vehicle to an electric run vehicle. So these are how our choices will determine whether we are for the obsolete paradigm or for the new mobility paradigm. Now you must want to know whether other cities and other countries have been able to implement certain measures that are consistent with the new mobility paradigm. And the answer would be yes. And here are just very quick examples of what other cities are doing. So this is in Lanzhou, China. You can see how wide the pedestrian facility is there, and how how nicely constructed. This is another picture from Lanzhou, China. Do you see that there are no cars at all in the middle of that? I guess that used to be a street but has been converted into an entirely pedestrian area where people can move from shop to shop and not be at risk of being run over by vehicles. And this one, a very famous example of how a city, Seoul, preferred to tear down what used to be a highway or a skyway and revive a stream that used to run there. And this is the famous Cheonggyecheon, or the Cheonggye stream. Here's another picture of how that stream now can make a city so livable. And this is an example of the Jakarta Car-Free Day. Now this example is so interesting. At first, the governor of Jakarta mandated that once a month, there would be totally no cars driving on the most important streets of Jakarta, which are Tamrin and Sudirman. And then, because of increased public demand, the governor actually increased the number of days when there are car-free days. So it became once every week. And this example has been followed in so many other cities in Indonesia, not just in Jakarta. And this is an example of Bandung in Indonesia that also is now having car-free days on particular streets in their city. Now, what about public transport? What examples of good public transport do we have in cities? This is the Guangzhou Bus Rapid Transit System. So you see here the large buses that can ferry hundreds of thousands of people to and from their destinations. You'll see a little space for cars, but you see that most of the street is really meant or is really segregated for public transport. This is another example of an articulated bus that can ferry a lot of passengers in Mexico City. And this is an example, a photo of the very famous Transmilenio in Bogota, Colombia. So you'll see there so many people, even in suits, riding the very fancy and efficient Transmilenio. And of course, for certain situations, rail systems would be more efficient. And this is an example of a comfortable rail system in Seoul. And this is one in Bangkok. Now, what is it that we are going to do today? What we will do is something very different from your usual workshops. The first thing we will do is we will walk a stretch of street around the ADB, and I think my friend JR will explain to us what route we will take. Basically, what we will do is we will walk outside of the ADB through the SM gate of the ADB, walk towards EDSA, turn right along EDSA, and then when we reach the corner of Guadic Street, the other end of the the next corner, we would turn right, basically go around ADB back to where you registered at the ADB reception. So I hope you are in the right in the proper attire, so that this will be exciting. But then for those who are in heels, we also say that that's good, because this will approximate what you would feel, what kind of pedestrian facility you would need when walking to work every day. So that's the first thing that we are going to do. And then we will come back into your groups and work on a map. We will do some mapping. What are we going to map? While we are walking, we have to be cognizant and be observant of the areas, the opportunities that come close to the new mobility paradigm, or that need a lot of improvement to move much closer to the new mobility paradigm. And when we come back, we are going to plot what you have seen on a map. And after that, after I think about 2 hours of mapping, am I right? We are going to have reporting by a presenter from each of your groups to see what it is that you have seen, but not only what you have seen, what it is that you propose as improvements, so that we can move much closer to a sustainable, to the new mobility or sustainable mobility paradigm in the Ortigas Central Business District. So this is the end of my presentation, and I hope you all enjoy this morning's activity of walking, mapping, and coming up with solutions on how we can improve pedestrian access and non-motorized facilities in Ortigas. Thank you very much, and good morning.